Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Soulful Abundance with Chris Williams. I'm super excited to share with you one of my connections and dear friends. She's like a soul sister when we first connected, Joanna Turner. She's an intuitive business mentor. And wow, we just have had like all of these great conversations. There have been so many synchronicities, even though she's across the pond and I'm here in the US. So, Joanna, welcome. I'm so glad to have you as a guest today.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit. I know one of the things that I was super excited to learn was you've got these amazing sacred travel events, experiences that you're creating for people. So I would love to hear about that. And I would love to kind of hear a little bit about you and how you got into where it is that you're doing, what it is that you're doing now with these beautiful retreats with work in the Akashic Records and the way that you are supporting women.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, it's a bit of a long story. I'm not quite sure where to start.
Yeah.
Um, but my work has evolved as I think all of us do. I started out as a chartered accountant. It wasn't, well, it's part of my soul path, but it didn't feel like it was something that was meant for me. And I went on a bit of a journey to find something else that it felt when I was in that career, it felt empty. I did very well. I lived on a beautiful paradise island in Bermuda, but I was looking for something more. And that really has always been sort of my thing that has guided me the most. And I've been looking for something. And that journey in my 20s, when I was still an accountant, led me to want to visit all of the world wonders.
Yeah.
So I thought if I go and visit those, maybe I'll find some answers. Maybe I'll figure out what this is all about. I wouldn't have said I was spiritual then, a little bit of a seeker, but I wouldn't have even had that language. It just seemed like a good idea. So I've been traveling my whole life. I did travel as a child as well. And that really started part of what I would now call planetary grid work or sacred travel, or
Mhm.
even my own personal pilgrimage. So um, that's been a big part of my journey. So I lived overseas in Bermuda for 6 years, and then I lived in Australia in and out for 10 years. And during that time, I was on the road for 5 years, building
Wow.
my business and having a massive spiritual awakening at the same time. So a lot of people, I think like yourself, I sort of started out in the health realm. I've always had a struggle with my weight. And I sometimes joke that if that hadn't been my initial kind of warning bell, I might not have really gone looking too far. But so for some of my first initial exploration was really to find the source of my weight issues. I found natural health, discovered a lot about food and what we put into our bodies. So that was really my first doorway that opened. Then I became a health coach, and once I did that, I discovered that really there was a lot more going on under the surface. My clients needed more from me than I had in training at that point. And so I really went on a bit of a mission to get skilled up to become the best coach I could be. I dived into EFT,
Mhm.
NLP, and transformational life coaching courses, and all of the different things I could do to become the absolute best coach and actually really facilitate change with my clients because yeah, it was just going a lot deeper. I was noticing a lot of patterns, emotional stuff coming up. And really that is still the basis of my work is
Mhm.
helping people uncover what is holding them back
Yeah.
and really clearing it to move forward. And my methods and modalities have changed and evolved as I've deepened in my own healing journey and my own spiritual journey. Um, but that's really still the sort of crux of what I do because I think it impacts all areas of our lives, whether it's our businesses, looking at blocks, money blocks, visibility blocks was a big one for me. So helping women with that. But also it impacts our health, our relationships,
Yeah.
and all the other areas of our lives. So that's really still a big driver for me is to help people clear that. But obviously there's a little bit more of a spiritual part to that journey. And then, like I mentioned, I discovered the Akashic Records, which have been really helpful for me. We can talk a little bit more
Yeah.
about it later. But the piece that has been most illuminating for me in helping people clear their blocks and limitations is that even though I've worked with thousands of clients now, like you have, right? We think we know what's
Mhm.
going on, right? We've heard, as much as we're all different, we have, there's a list of sort of 10 core things that's probably the
Right.
right. So we get pretty good at noticing these things, especially when you're intuitive. And often I'll think I know what's going on. But then I'll open somebody's Akashic Records and they'll show me one thing, one piece of the puzzle. I call it that sort of red thread, that one, when you pull a thread and the whole jumper unravels. It's
Yeah.
a bit like that. They'll maybe show me one theme or one issue that we can tug, and it will really solve a whole bunch of problems in that person's life. And it's not necessarily the path I would have focused on or gone down initially with my coaching. So while I'm good without them, I don't always use them. I
Mhm.
find that it really helps me super focus on the issues, and really get clarity for people. And also we can just it's like an extra bird's eye view. It's like a
Yeah.
different perspective on things. But
Mhm.
also we'll get into this later, but like your business has an Akashic record. And so it's really fun to help people work with that. So it's really a combination of all the things I've learned, all the different modalities, and bringing it together to sort of help people become the energetic match for their next big goal, whatever that is. Really just helping us get out of our own ways.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
And
I love all of it. Like done like in my brain, I'm like, yes, 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 like double clicking on all of it. One of the things that you said in the very beginning, which I just want to kind of like make mention of, is how these awakenings, these transformations, these big ahas or insights, like it's not like we're like, oh, I'm gonna go have an aha now. Like I'm gonna take 6 months off of life and business and then just like open. Like it happens in the process, right? It's not like there's just one space and time. It's like, no, as you're going through your own living and learning, that's how these, amazing insights and ahas and next doors open. So, I love how, you kind of, talked about that. And then also, you showed that, oh, the first door for you was around health and wellness, right? That was my door too, right? Typically, when we want to learn about something so that we can get a better handle on whatever it is that we're going through, right? We tend to learn about that. That's kind of the first door, and then that leads to other avenues depending on where we want to go next. So I think it's such a beautiful journey that I just want to remind all of our listeners on, because it's not like any of us who have successful businesses today could have foreseen the journey, the paths, the opportunities, or the doors from the very, very beginning, right? And so many times I hear people say, I just want to figure it all out first and then. And I'm like, oh, honey.
I wish.
No, actually, you really don't, because you're limiting, right? We tend
Mhm.
to limit what comes to us when we're like, oh, it has to go this way, right? It's like, no, it
Mm.
can only come through the front door. Well, what if it wants to come through the back door? What if it wants to come through the windows? What if it
Oh,
wants
I
to,
mean, a whole nother conversation.
wait a minute.
Sorry. That's
It's
my
true.
dirty mind. I believe, we're on this journey and it unfolds in perfect timing. And that's really something my impatient self has had to learn. I I want it all now, yesterday. Like, why is it not here fast enough?
Yeah.
So I remember, oh my gosh, random story. As a kid, my mum was taking us to France on the train from Scotland, and we'd taken the bus to the train station. We got on the train. We'd not even left Glasgow, and I was asking my mum, "Are we in France yet?" And the poor lady like looked at my mum with two little kids and just was like, "Oh, you have got a long journey ahead of you." So even as a kid, I was wanting to be there before, you know, um, before we had a chance. But some people come to me, the Akashic Records, one of the things it does is help you discover your soul's purpose.
Mm,
And people are like, I just want to know what it is. But it will not potentially be revealed to you, even through the Akashic Records,
yeah,
until you are ready.
yeah.
Had I been told that some of my mission, I would have run away screaming and I
Yeah.
would still be an accountant.
Hmm.
Absolutely, there would have been absolutely no chance. I was so
Mm,
naive when I started my business. I'm so grateful for that naivety
yeah.
because I didn't have a clue what I was in store for, and if I knew, I might not have taken that leap because
Yeah.
I just rented a room above a yoga studio, and I thought, I'd learned my EFT and a bit of I was doing more courses, and I thought, I'm gonna put my business card at the front door of this yoga studio, and people will just come to me, and they'll find out what I do, and they'll come and and want to see me. And, I had a couple of clients, but that was not the way. I had no idea about online business, no
Mhm.
idea that I'd have to learn marketing, sales,
Mhm.
um, I'd have to speak. I didn't even have I had no social media presence.
Yeah.
The idea of putting my face on the internet or on Instagram even was terrifying. The thought
Yeah.
of speaking, terrifying. Everything was terrifying. Having a photo shoot, like
Yeah.
I just was like, heck no. But
Mm.
I also knew if I don't get over myself, this isn't gonna work. So
Yeah.
it really, it's good that I was naive, but also I've had to learn all these things. And also, beyond my weight, to be quite honest, I didn't think I had any issues. I didn't know I had a single emotional problem, honestly. I just thought it was everybody else.
Mhm.
Thought it
Mhm.
was all these people I was dating, it was definitely them that was emotionally unavailable and not me.
Mhm.
Um, and I had no concept that I had what I had really gone through in my life,
Yeah.
and didn't know what a chakra was, didn't know what a past life was, you know, just so naive. And but every step of my journey, I've had to
Mhm.
overcome these things, like being visible, putting myself out there, sending my first newsletter. I thought I was gonna die. All these things I've had to continue to push myself and work with different healers and coaches and things, um, to continue to overcome these things. And so I know how hard it is. I'm not like it's super easy, just do it. But yeah, so it's definitely a journey and
Yeah.
one step at a time, guys.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. Thank you for saying that and to just presenting that because that's the same that it's been for me. And I think that's the same for anybody who's had any level of not giving up and creating success, right? Is that, you get an idea, you try it, you get feedback, you try something else, you get feedback, you either try that again or try something else. Like it really is this beautiful one step at a time. And one of the things that, I keep coming back to is I'm like, oh, now the prayer, give us this day our daily bread makes so much sense, right? Like if I had to carry all of my food that I would need for the rest of my life, I would never go anywhere, right? Like, and that's the same with going on this journey, whether we want to make a transformation in our life, whether we want to create more, abundance in our businesses. It's taking that step along the way and trusting and having faith and being open to the opportunities that present themselves and acting on those without having from A to Z everything figured out, right? It's even more important, I feel, that you commit and you say, yep, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to commit to building this business even before you know how. Because the how doesn't always open with the knowledge that we have today, right? Like as a massage therapist, if somebody you would have told me, oh, Chris, yeah, guess what? You're not going to be in massage therapy for more than 5 years. You're going to write a book. You're going to be asked to be on stages. And oh, by the way, you're going to be a business coach. I would have been, what? No way.
Mhm.
Like, I don't think I really want that. Right.
Exactly.
So it doesn't come to us the way that we think that it should, but yet it comes at the right time, and it really does come when we're ready, and we're led to the people that we need to work with that are going to support us in the place that we are, that allows us to create that next step. So, such a beautiful, beautiful reminder about how the pathway to success actually is built, and it is one step at a time.
Absolutely. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
I
Yeah.
want to dive into the Akashic Records because I'm excited to hear more about it. Like, I kind of know a general idea of what they are, but I think that, for those listeners here that are like, well, what's that? It sounds really cool. It sounds really interesting. Could you share a little bit more about what they are, how they help us, like how you tap into them, all of that good stuff?
Yes, absolutely. So before I went to learn to read them, I'd never had a reading myself. So that was kind of funny. But something inside of me said, you need to go and do this. And I've been learning to trust that voice. And the
Mhm.
more that I trust it and listen and, go find the next crumb on the
Mhm.
breadcrumb on the trail, then that's exactly how it's unfolded. So I decided I was in LA. I decided to sign up for this course and went along, and really, it was just the most beautiful thing. It was not easy at the beginning, a little bit clunky,
Yeah.
but once you start to trust the information and what's coming through, then it really is a beautiful gift. So I like to think of the Akashic Records as, so historically it's been known as the Book of Life, or as this
Mm.
giant library in the sky. But there aren't any books sitting on library shelves, I'm afraid. But
Mhm.
I like to think of it now as a celestial iCloud. So,
Mm.
we've moved on. Back in the 1900s, when this was discovered, of course, they had libraries. That was the easiest thing they could sort of compare it to. Now we have iClouds and
Mhm.
things like that. So I like to think of it as this giant um, celestial iCloud. And in that iCloud, it is full of all information, our past, our present, our future, everything that has ever been done, said, or written through all time,
Wow.
all lifetimes. And it is just vast. And so this is, it's everything.
Mm.
And it's said to be held in the ethers, this information. That's where the name, the Akashic Records, comes from. It's a Sanskrit word, ethers. And um, we all now, I believe, have the ability to tap into this information. In the
Mhm.
past, it really was only holy people, priests, monks, nuns, people that
Mhm.
sat in prayer and meditation. It wasn't really something that was available for the average person. Back in the past, it was maybe, people were more focused on daily life and survival a lot of the
Mhm.
time. So it really wasn't available for everybody. But that has changed. Now, I did hear somebody who's very prominent saying that that was still the case.
Mm.
And everything in my body was just screaming, no, 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 don't be telling people that. We have the power. They just don't want us to know we have the power to access all of this information, right?
Yeah.
But it is a little bit dependent on your vibration. The higher your vibration, the more information you can access. So that's part of the reason why so much inner work is important.
Yeah.
The more I release and the more I can shed of my own conditioning and my own thought processes or expectations, even, or beliefs, the more I can access, which is brilliant. So each person you ever have a reading with is going to be different because people have different skill levels of an vibrational match to what is available. So
Mhm.
like help people become a vibrational match to their next big goal. It's similar with the Akashic Records. You become a vibrational match to the information you can access. And um and it's really beautiful. So you have one for yourself, your business has one, your pet has one, a country, a town, a body of water, a tree,
Yeah.
your car, your house, right?
Wow.
There is an Akashic record for everything. These things are actually living beings, and they have a purpose in your life, and we can access all that. So it's
Right.
really a once you get in, it's like a magical place of wonder, and you have the ability to access all of this information. So in terms of self, it's really wonderful to get a sense of your purpose, what's holding holding yourself back, your blocks. And you can see, for instance, relational things with people. We don't want to pry into anyone else's. I
Yeah.
actually teach the Akashic Records up to level 3, and I'm big on the ethics. I
Yeah.
hammer them at home
Yeah.
more than almost anything else. People are like, okay, we get it. But I'm like, no, we're not going prying into somebody else's. If there is anything like that, you get permission.
Yeah.
Nobody under 18, but
Yeah.
if you want to see your relationship to somebody, we can look at that,
Yeah.
right? I'm not looking at somebody, your husband's life purpose.
Yeah.
That's none of our business. But
Yeah.
if you want to know how you can improve your relationship with him and what your part is to play and what the dynamics are, we can look at that, right?
Oh, I love that. Yes. Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
there's those pieces, right? And obviously, then it gives us this beautiful access to the personal blocks and issues that you're having.
Mhm.
That might be in relationship to your business and the blocks. So I think things are most usually something from your childhood, very common in our developmental years to have picked up
Mhm.
beliefs and things from your family, from your schooling, from your church, wherever, lots, on the television, right? So we
Yeah.
can have lots of programming from our childhood. But the two things that really we get more access to with the Akashic Records is our ancestral blocks and our past lives. And
Mm.
that is the magic. That is where the most exciting part for me really is when we can go really far back. And when I
Mhm.
like, I go on the most wonderful journeys with people. I don't know where we're going. I just roll with it. I'm just like, okay,
You're like,
we
all
are
right.
minus 2000 years. Excellent. Let's go. Like, let's see what comes up. So, we just roll with whatever happens. I've had people have lifetimes on Titanic come up, and it's been
Wow.
impacting them in their business at the
Wow.
moment.
Wow.
So I had somebody else who was having struggling with somebody, and she was jousting on a battlefield.
Wow.
So you just don't know where
Yeah.
these blocks are, right? And
Yeah.
if you can't
Yeah.
come up with a reason why you have this issue in this lifetime from an experience, like if you've not had
Mhm.
any major things go on, then maybe there's something a little bit deeper.
Mhm.
So we can have a look at that. And then obviously for your business, it's really, I love to think of my business as a, a separate living, breathing entity that has its own mission.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of here to look after it. But we can look at things like your messaging, your next launch, your
Mhm.
pricing, all
Mhm.
of those kind of things can come through your records as well. And so it gets to be really beautifully aligned. And yeah, so that gets to be a really beautiful exploration. And then a little bit as well that I'll just add on, part of my journey is about this grid work pilgrimage. So I go to a lot of
Yeah.
sacred sites, planetary, potent points of spiritual and energetic importance, vortexes, these kind of things. And I use the Akashic Records for that work as well. So that work isn't necessarily client focused, but it is more for the good of humanity and healing our planet. And so I can tap into Akashic Records of sacred sites, and that then helps me with my grid work. It directs and guides me on what I'm supposed to do at that place, what I'm supposed to do
Mhm.
next. And yeah, it's just been a really beautiful, powerful tool to add on to all the other things
Yeah.
that I do. So
Well,
uh
I love what you're saying here because it's like it's giving some extra information, right? I think of it, in terms of like if you were working with a functional nutritionist and they decided that, you know what, let's do this test, right? Let's do a hormone test. Let's do a metabolism test. Let's do a food allergy test so that you're
mhm,
not just kind of shooting in the dark and thinking, well, think it might be this, I think might be allergic to
mhm,
XYZ, but when it comes back and you're like, oh, actually you're not. You've been doing all of this for so long, and that's actually not the problem. Or,
yeah.
so it's giving more specific information to help unlock. And I love the way that you're also talking about, each individual thing being its own being, which makes so much sense because it's energy is energy, right? We're all energy. It's energy is energy. There's not a difference really between, a tree's energy and our energy. It's still all energy, right? It's all part of everything. So it would make sense that something in physical form has got energy that is then also connected to this beautiful iCloud in the sky. That I love that analogy. I've always thought and felt that when the internet was created, it was giving us more of an understanding of how we could also tap into this universal knowledge and truths that were available for us. But like this needed to happen first so that we could see that even though we can't physically touch the internet, you still have access, right? Like you could go
Yes.
on Google today and, Google the Akashic Records and that information would come to you. Well, you're not in a library, you're not opening a book, right? Like,
Mhm.
where is that information coming from? Exactly.
Actually, that's one of the ways I help people understand it. I'm like, I'm,
Yeah,
I'm talking to you through Wi-Fi, and
yeah,
the information, or even to think about your cell phone, you can use that anywhere, and the
yeah,
information flies through the air and
yeah,
comes to your phone, right? So why does it have to be just man-made, right? So it's
yeah,
just the natural version of sending, the waves that we cannot see, we know are there.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's just yeah, it's exactly it.
I love that. So
Yeah.
tell me more about the grids. Oh, by the way, you guys, we're going to put the link here so that you can contact Joanna about any of her sacred travel to these amazing sites that we're going to talk about. Plus, if you want to get in touch with her for an Akashic reading or, learn about the Akashic Records, we'll share all of that. So be sure to check the description below so that you can reach out to Joanna with any questions that you have around this. All
Yeah,
right. It's about
absolutely.
the grid. Yeah.
I love getting questions and things like that. So absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
So the grids, tell me more about that. Like I've heard of power lines, I've heard of ley lines, right? But could you give us a little bit more on what is the purpose of them? Like,
Absolutely. So the way I like to think of it and describe it is we have, like I mentioned before, I didn't know what a chakra was, right?
yeah.
I know, thank goodness. But most people are familiar with your body having chakras, right? You have a root chakra, a sacral chakra, your throat, your heart, all the things. So, and also you might be familiar if you've ever been for a massage or some
Mhm.
acupuncture, you'll be aware that the body has meridian lines. So it's especially if you're in acupuncture, they're trying to unblock if you have a blockage, maybe it's from a trauma or some
Mhm.
sort of illness, your meridian lines can get blocked, which blocks your chi or your energy. And we're really the process of acupuncture is to unlock that. It's the same EFT is like acupuncture, just without
Yeah.
needles. So
Yep.
the whole idea is you're unblocking, releasing the trauma, getting the energy and the chi moving, and you feel better and your chakras are balanced and
Hmm.
all is well in the world. So the reason I'm mentioning that is because, like we said, the earth is sort of a reflection of us, the microcosm and the macrocosm. The earth has chakras and
Mm-hmm.
the earth has meridian lines. They're just a little bit different, but also the the heart chakra of the earth is Glastonbury. The throat chakra is the Great Plateau in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the sacral chakra is Ayers Rock in at Uluru in Australia. And so there's these different points all across the world, Lake Titicaca, Mount Shasta. And so the world has these very important chakras.
Mm-hmm.
And the human body, again, instead of meridian lines, we call them ley lines,
Mm-hmm.
song lines in Australia, dragon lines are also known as. And these lines link all of the chakras and the different vortices. And just like us, they can get blocked from
Yeah.
trauma, from different things having happened in events. And so I think of myself as like an acupuncture needle,
Mm-hmm.
um, just in human form. And I go to these, I'm intuitively guided to go to different places at different specific times. And my energy being there is sometimes it's enough. Sometimes I open the Akashic Records, I can do a healing. I do what I'm intuitively guided to do at these points. Sometimes it's with crystals. I do crystal grid working.
Mm-hmm.
I've been gifted crystals to take to certain places. And I just trust that I'm intuitively guided or sent to the next place that I'm needed to at the right time. I didn't understand this at all to begin with. I was going to a lot of these places, but very unconsciously. Like, remember when I said I was going to these ancient wonders? I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But I
Yeah.
think even then, there was part, I was on that journey, and now I'm just doing it in a more conscious way.
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't try and force it though. I'm a projector in human design. I don't know if you're into human design, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm best off being invited. So
Mm-hmm.
rather than me pushing things or deciding where I'm to go, sometimes I'm intuitively guided and I just go. I don't always need
Yeah.
a written invite, but uh, often my journey is dictated by somebody saying, "Oh, you should go there. Oh, would you like to come and visit me here? You should go meet this person," or whatever. So
Yeah.
that's part of it as well, which has been really a lovely part of the journey. And so yeah, I feel like uh and didn't know anybody else at the beginning who was doing this. I felt a little crazy, to be honest.
Well,
But
you're an accountant. Oh my gosh. How
right, I know, right? My
logical
accounting
brain of
self
an
is like,
accountant.
you are
Wow.
crazy. I know. At the same time, I was also getting really deeply into um, plant medicine, shamanism, psychedelics, all this kind of stuff. I was like, I am really losing my mind here. Um, and I'm sort of looking at myself dancing around this back garden, and I'm thinking, if if anyone at my work could see me now, like, what would they think? Like, it was like a Monday. I'm like, everyone's at work. Like I've just, I'm 6 months out my corporate job, like, but on a Monday I'm dancing around somebody's back garden, having
Oh,
thrown
I
up in
love
a
it.
bucket. I'm like,
What is happening?
I'm like, so all of that was going on. I had moments, my family thinks I'm bonkers. But now I'm connecting with so many people who are doing the same thing. And some more now are conscious, they know exactly what they're up to. They are very intentionally doing the work. Some people obviously still just doing it kind of by accident, which is also fine. Like there's not um and there'll be millions of other people on this journey as well. And for me, it's about, we're obviously going through this huge time of change, of awakening, of our consciousness shifting. There's so much, the energy spikes going on in the planet. So there's so
Yeah.
much going on. And my little piece of the puzzle is that, I go to these places and I do what I can to help. So
Mhm.
um, yeah, that's just what I do. And if somebody feels like they're drawn to go somewhere, but they maybe don't understand or they don't know what that, I'm like, don't overthink it, just go. If you feel called to go somewhere, just go, see what happens. That next part of the puzzle will be sort of opened up for you. I feel like now, I've said it a few times recently, I feel like I'm in a Dan Brown movie. You know how he's like running all over the place, collecting sacred, these signs, and they're sort of on the hunt for the Holy Grail. I
Yeah.
feel kind of like that's what I'm
Yeah.
up to. Um, it's just a real life Dan Brown movie, and I'm just very happy and I'm excited that it's even coming up in conversations and
Mhm.
so happy to share about it. And one of my big pieces that makes me say it's a Dan Brown movie is I'm drawn very much to Rosslyn Chapel. A lot of my work has been around Rosslyn Chapel, which is where they actually go to at the end of the Da
Mm.
Vinci Code. It's kind of like the final piece of the puzzle in the movie. So it really is a
Yeah.
Dan Brown movie. And I happen to be drawn there a lot. My sister actually lives about 10 minutes away. So um, I'm there a lot and it's on the Rose line. So the
Mhm.
ley lines all have different names, kind of relating to the
Mhm.
energy that they are linked to. So
Mhm.
Roslyn Chapel is really Rose Line Chapel,
Wow.
right? It took me, I was like, oh wow, okay. So the rose line is really all about the heart, right? The rose is about the heart. And also Roslyn Chapel is also thought to be a crown chakra activating place as well. So it's, I sort of join these dots as well. So the rose line to me also, there's a deep connection to Mary Magdalene, and I feel very connected to her and that energy, and it's been more prevalent. And
Mhm.
there's also a big dragon piece going on at the moment with dragon energy. And again, if I ever thought I would be talking about dragons, I would have said I was out of my mind. But it feels very real. We're in this beautiful Chinese rear of the dragon. And yeah, these energies and frequencies are here, and they're here to help us and help us help the planet. So
Yeah.
um, it's just a sort of very keeps unfolding and deepening, and it's a cool journey.
I love it. I love this so much. This is so exciting. Yes. I love the rose as well. That's something that as a matter of fact, I'm starting a mastermind in 2025, and it's actually called the Rose Mastermind. So is that not?
Ooh, that gives me chills.
I'm like, okay, there it is again. I'm like, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. It's like, come on, let's get this going. Let's get this going. I'm like, okay. Like, I
Woo,
bought myself
real
four rose,
chills.
like rose plants I bought for Mother's Day. I'm like, you know what? I want four rose plants. I'm just going to buy them. So I went online, set myself some roses, and then there's, yeah, so the rose symbology that's coming in. I'm like, okay, now I have to go to this amazing Rosalind Chapel. I'm like, okay, so whenever you have a trip with that, Joanna, let me know. I will be there. By the way, we didn't talk about this yet, but I definitely don't want to miss it because you take groups of people to these places as well, right? Can you share a little bit about what you've got coming up?
Yeah, so one is Scotland. So I was on the road for 17 years, and I came back to Scotland a couple of years ago, and I was a little bit like, why am I back here?
Mhm.
Um, but through all these joining these dots, I've realized that there's a window has opened in Scotland, an energetic portal from Lionsgate 2023 to 2026. And
Mhm.
Scotland is already, you've been, you've been in some of these beautiful sites. It's a very magical place. The connection to the spirit world is very strong. And in this 3-year window, it's even stronger. So
Mhm.
a lot of the sacred sites and the ley lines have opened. They had been sealed off and closed for a long time, but there's an opportunity now to be activated by them and to help activate them in the healing of the planet. So um, I have realized I'm back in Scotland because of this, and
Mhm.
I'm really excited to share it and to guide people on journeys within Scotland that are healing. And it's sort of working with obviously all the modalities and the records, but it's also working with these sacred sites and working, for them and with them, and sort of it's a beautiful give and take with these sites. So that's partly guided it. A lot of the sites are also Outlander sites. I know you have a
Mhm.
beautiful connection with the
Yeah.
Fraser clan
Mhm.
through your husband. So
Yeah.
a lot of the sites, Outlander, while it is obviously a fiction, a lot of the sites are real. They're obviously real places, they're real filming locations, but they also are all sacred sites in their own right, even
Mhm.
without the movie.
Mhm.
And it just so happens that all of the key places that I have been guided to take people to are Outlander locations. So, for instance, Loch Ness
Mhm.
is the pineal gland
Mm.
of the UK, and it's helping us activate our own pineal glands, which is part of the spiritual awakening. Plus, it's for humanity. So there's a beautiful piece with Loch Ness, and the Loch
Mhm.
Ness monster is a dragon, and
Oh, wow.
that all weaves together in a really beautiful way. And I know you went to Culloden because there's
Mhm. Yep.
with the Fraser clan, and only about a mile away from Culloden is a stone circle called Clava Cairns.
Mm.
It was if you are familiar with Outlander, it's the
Mhm.
whole crux of that series is about Claire going back in time through
Mhm.
touching a standing stone. And the Clavacairn is the inspiration for Craig which is in the
Mhm. Mhm.
series. But it's also a real place with real standing stones.
Yeah.
And I have recently really become to understand it is actually connected to time
Mhm.
and time travel and
Mhm.
healing of time. And so there has been a piece from all these different places um, that this piece from Matthias de Stefano, and he has had an awareness that we need to heal time, and
Mhm.
it's by reconnecting clavicairns um, with Geneva. That's
Mhm.
also a source of time.
Mm.
They make clocks and cuckoo clocks and things.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
they've had a long history
Of
connection with
time.
time there.
Yeah.
They also have CERN underneath, playing with time, right?
Mhm.
Maybe breaking time, maybe messing with it.
Mhm.
And so there is a link between these two places that is needing some healing and some work done. And so I'm actually going there on November the 11th, the 11/11 portal, to
Mhm.
work with a beautiful sister who I've just been on her podcast as well. She's going to be in Geneva. I'm going to be there in Clavacairns, potentially with some people if they want to come and work through whatever we need to do while we're there. So it's it just keeps blowing my mind. These
Yeah, what a
people
journey, right? Like a
keep
count to
going.
now you're traveling the world and going to these amazing things and go amazing places and helping to heal not only people but increase the, business growth and healing the planet. And you're like, what's next? I love it.
Very much so.
Oh,
I'm like, what is happening? This is a lot. Uh,
mhm.
but
You for doing this. Like, thank you for doing this work, though. Like, we need more people that are answering the call that are saying, yeah, actually, I'm going to follow this breadcrumb. I'm going to walk through this store. And, without women like you taking courageous action and following it and doing it afraid anyways, right? Even when you're really not sure where this is leading, but you're doing it anyways. Like it is such a empowering thing to witness because it helps to show all of us of what's possible.
Thank you so much, because a lot of it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make business sense sometimes. You
Yeah.
know, and a lot of time, folk doing this work, and
Mhm.
I'm like, I need to be focusing more on my business, but then I keep getting pulled on these different missions and going places, and so, and it's taken a toll on my body as well. With
Yeah,
all the
sure.
travel, I was exhausted, really burnt out after being on the road for so long. So, it's not without some sacrifice, I would
Mhm,
say.
mhm.
But again, it's something I feel utterly compelled to do. Like, if I don't, then I just can't not. If I
Yeah,
feel like I'm
yeah,
supposed to do something, or I'm invited, or I go somewhere, I just trust that I will be supported,
yeah,
and it's the
yeah,
right thing for me to do, regardless of what my ego or my mind thinks I
right.
should be doing.
Yeah, the logical brain. It's like, yeah, no, I
Right?
don't want to do that. Yeah, well, I'm going to get you to North Carolina and the Appalachian Mountains at
Yes,
some
I would
point.
love
Yeah,
that.
I'm going to bring you here. Joanna, thank you so much for today. This has been so wonderful. Will you share your website? And by the way, we will put these in the show notes for sure. We'll make sure that we've got all of the links, but I would love Joanna just to share her website and what is the best way to get in touch with you, follow you, connect with you.
Beautiful, thank you. I'm rebuilding all of my tech at the moment, so I will
Gotcha.
get that link to you. But
Mhm.
um, I'm most active probably on Instagram, so you're welcome to send me a DM, or on Facebook, add me as a friend, and I will happily answer any questions. And I have a podcast as well. It's called The Flow Show with Joanna Turner. So if you want to dive a little bit deeper into some of these topics and themes, then definitely there. So yeah, I'm pretty easy to find, and yeah, I love hearing about other people's stories and all that kind
Yeah.
of thing. So I'd love to connect.
It's amazing. Great. So the Flow Show, go check it out. And also you can find Joanna on Instagram. And then we will come back as soon as we get Joanna's link. If it's not already there in the show notes, maybe by the time we release this episode. Joanna, as always, I love connecting with you. And I cannot wait to actually be on one of these trips and these journeys with you sometime soon. I hope you have an amazing day.
Thank you so much. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, everybody. We will see you next time. And don't forget, hit like below, hit subscribe if you're on YouTube so that you can know when we've got new episodes being released. And feel free to reach out anytime with any questions. We'll see you next time.